Hey guys, well, I'm back in the shop and look what is in here with me. Yes, it is the Cummins powered 3500 HD air ride ramp truck. And we're gonna get into it, finally, after a whole lot of time. I'll spin you around, show you what's up. So you can see I have this truck in the barn. I have it up on jack stands and the wheels pulled already. And well, we've got a long road of odds and ends that we've got to get going on this thing with the goal of making her being able to move under her own power. So I'm going to forgo some of the details that need to be finished. Things like a replacement headliner, the last of the interior stuff. I've got most of that already sitting over here in the barn, but that's not stuff that has to be done right this second. What it does need is a drive shaft. You can see we got a couple old ones sitting here. What it does need is the fuel system, lines, stand tube, pickup, you name it, all that good stuff. It needs brake lines. It needs brakes, bearings, obviously brake lines up here, a master cylinder, replace the steering column, a core support, a radiator, all those good things. It doesn't need to run per se, but we're also got obviously a front clip that I already have everything for, but that's part of this deal. The ramp bed is strapped down to a trailer across the street. I'm going to be taking it up to my sandblaster. It's been sitting there all winter. I'm going to be taking it up to my sandblaster this week. So it'll be back within a couple weeks. It's probably going to sit across the street up on some blocks waiting to be placed on here. There is no reason to put that bed on for two reasons. One is obviously this thing fits. It fits with the ramp bed in this barn with 0 inches to spare. So without the bed and its associated tail hang, I can walk all the way around this truck comfortably. It's nice and easy to work on. Also, there's no reason to be doing things like plumbing air lines and plumbing brake lines and installing drive shafts and support bearings, doing brakes, all that stuff. There's no reason to deal with that bed. So once we get some of the other stuff said and done, it's middle of March right now. By the time we get all this crap done, honestly, it'll probably be frickin' June or later, and then we'll be able to move the truck in and out under its own power. We'll put the bed on because we'll be able to work on it out in the driveway. It probably won't come back in here ever again. So let me show you a few things that we're going to be working on first. So the first thing that I acquired through there's a Facebook page for the 3500 HD, basically GMT 455 enthusiasts or something to that effect. And a local guy here in Michigan had this. Shout out to Charles, appreciate it. Smoking deal on a 3500 HD OEM core support. This is off of, I think, a 91 or 92, so it's an old one. But she's got a little bit of surface rust, but, couple mine. Actually, that's just a drain hole. Really, nothing to speak of in terms of rust. Nothing, we can't, barely even need to paint this thing. So she's in good shape. The one I have that I bought, even though it was labeled as 3500 HD, it is not. So we are going to mangle this one up to get room for an intercooler and the associated tubing. We're going to mangle it a little less aggressively, or not aggressively. We're going to do it better than I did way back in 2009 when I built this truck the first time with the Cummins in it. So we've got that we've acquired. Drive shafts, I don't know what to do with the drive shafts. Yeah, I'm not sure. We're thinking on that still. I may get these partially rebuilt. I wanted just to reuse and make my own, but I don't know. I'm second guessing. I'm probably going to try to come up with some more 3500 HD shafts to work with that may be in better shape. That will be a lot cheaper than trying to come up with or have a shop build fresh ones. So might be looking for some of those junkyard or on that same Facebook page. I dug up some stuff from across the street. We're not quite there yet. Shifters and master cylinders and stuff like that. But anyway, the other thing we got is this. This is what we're going to work on today. So this is a battery box off of a 2025 Western Star Severe Duty. You can see that it is like 30 inches tall. It's huge. And I can't successfully with one hand, I cannot show you. Hold on. You see these ledges right there and right there? That's where 2 batteries sit on top. I'm going to set up for 1 to be in the bottom. So the way this thing works is that I can actually get rid of this whole lower plate. I can cut this aluminum along there, and then I can cut the mounts, and we can actually have a nice battery box that's about 14 inches tall, which will be about the same height as our fuel tank and our underbody box on the other side. So that's what we're going to work on. We're going to take some measurements. It's going to get mounted over here next to the underbody box. And my logic for that is that figure we got a driver in the driver's seat that's adding a couple 100 pounds probably to this side. We've got 35 gallons of fuel. That's 250, 300 pounds additional weight on the driver's side. And then we have not much. The engine's about equal. We got a turbo on one side. We got a starter on the other, give or take, she's even. But yeah, that underbody box, no matter how many chains and binders you're going to put in there, it's still going to be lighter. So we are going to put those 2 Group 31s over here. And yes, folks, I realize that a 3500 HD has spots for 2 batteries up front. This truck is already heavy on the front axle because of that. So I don't figure the need to run 2 more batteries up here, and you cannot fit Group 31s in those spots. And I just want a couple of 31s. They're easy to get, they're easy to work with, and they fit standard battery boxes. So that gets us a little more weight back here where I want it. It also puts us adjacent to, I think, our 12-volt compressor. It's going to end up in this box, possibly with a partition to protect it. So it's only logical that we would put it right here. And we're all set. So anyway, I'm going to get working on that. I'll show you as I make some progress. Okay, so we've gotten rid of this whole 50 pounds of friggin', this thing was heavy, by the way. Oh, and I didn't mention, I got this off of Facebook Marketplace, of course. Is a truck body company was selling it. They had like 6 or 8 of them for sale. I should have bought more, but I don't really know what I do with them, so I bought one. But anyway, so cheap score. You can't find battery boxes for that price. Not even close. Not even close. Like new, something I would need would be $300, $400, $500. So anyway, get rid of that. We got some extra aluminum over there. Might come in handy someday. We probably won't scrap that. But anyway, we're cut down. We're flat wheel. You're looking at the bottom here. So we gotta get some paint on. That's the next step, is to get some. Get some paint on this. So we're going to pull off the aluminum and we'll shoot some paint just on our cuts is all it is. And I did drill a couple holes because there was more bolts sandwiching the steel to the aluminum, but they were down here and what was removed. So we're going to add a couple right there, one on each side. Other than that, it's done. So I think I'm going to actually bolt that tray in first, and then we'll remove the sides. We'll shoot some paint on it real quick, and then we can reassemble it all nice and shiny. All right, so I actually skipped the painting and put it up on a jack, marked my holes, and used Amazon's cheapest mag drill, or China's cheapest mag drill, the Vivor, and it drilled more. It's drilled like, I don't know, on this truck alone, it's drilled probably 50 holes. She's still ticking. So holes are drilled. Now what I do have to do is same thing we had to do here. So on these, because my frame rail on my flatbed is a piece of angle like this, so it rides down and covers the frame. just a little bit, by about 2 inches. So hence why you see this notch in my brackets for the underbody box. And there's actually a similar, well, actually there's cutouts in the flatbed for that one, which would have been the easier thing to do, but it's already been marked and placed, and I don't feel like doing that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to drill some spacer plates. We'll just use some quarter bar I've probably got laying around, and we'll do the same spacing as we just did. We'll just set everything up in a vise and drill those, and then we'll sandwich those in when we mount this thing. But holes are drilled in the double frame. I did pull out some of my double frame bolts there just so I could get the magnet in. So anyway, I'm gonna mark these spacer plates. We'll get this thing bolted up, then I'll paint the bottom of it because it's a lot easier just to roll under there on a creeper and paint that, and we'll get everything bolted together, side plates and all that good stuff, and see what she looks like. We're in business. All right, there we go, kids. Paint still wet. Man, that looks freaking factory. She bolted on nice and square, nice and straight. We went with 9/16 hardware, so you can see our gap created by our little plates. That'll let those angles drop right through. Lots of thread poke coming through there. We got some nice, that thing's not going anywhere. We put 18 batteries on there. She's gonna be fine. That being said, I am gonna get some panels bolted onto this thing, and we're done. We don't even have batteries to put in it right now. Okay, well, I think it's done. I did, once I got those panels all bolted on, and again with all the anti-seize and stainless hardware and all that good stuff, I realized, like, once this lid is on, you can still see this portion down here. I'm like, well, I have that panel, it's just too tall. So we cut it down, put a couple bolts in, and now she's nice and rigid. So let me throw the cover on. All right, there we go. We've got a nice looking battery box on this truck. Man, that thing is fresh looking. All right, guys, well, I'm back. It's the end of the weekend this time, and I spent my weekend doing a whole bunch of aluminum polishing wheels. So I am really effing sore and tired because that sucks. But we're done with that now, and we're on to fun things like air compressors. So my new 12-volt air compressor came. I went with a good one. I got a Vi-Air. These little suckers aren't cheap, let me tell you. I don't know why I'm messing with that, because that's probably going to come off anyway. But if you look, you can see that I went with something that is the most important part here, even though we probably won't need it for this application, but it is a 100% duty cycle compressor, 1.52 CFM. This one is rated for a 5-gallon tank, which I don't remember our air tank. It's close to 5. I think it's 4, 4.5, maybe 5.5. It's in that range. So it's properly sized for what we're going to do with it. You know, obviously, for the way I'm going to build this truck, just 2 airbags back there, this thing isn't going to run very often. You know, if it's been sitting for a long time, it'll run for a while. But beyond that, not so much. But at any rate, we're going to install it. And I was originally thinking, first I was picturing this was going to be bigger than what it is. I pictured installing it, you know, kind of like that inside of the underbody box. And I'm like, well, yeah, but then it's going to get hit with chains and binders and straps. And you know, do I have a better spot? And turns out I do. Because inside this battery box right here, we have some space where this thing comes up here and then it angles in. And so inherently, we've got some room right there where this thing could sit. So I think if I just do some minimal fabrication, I've already got a flange right there. And with some minimal fab, we can attach that to the front plate. And that little compressor can sit right inside this battery box, fairly protected, still plenty of ventilation for air intake. and we're right close for our battery connection. So that's what we're gonna go with. Okay, well, what I ended up doing was I just repurposed some of the old aluminum I cut off of this very battery box when I shortened it down. You saw earlier in the video. So I already had these two pieces that had L brackets on them. So yeah, no welding required. It's nice and light. It's aluminum. I didn't have to paint it. So perfect. So our compressor is mounted. We got our filter on the front. It's going to be nice and protected inside this battery box, but still plenty of ventilation. So wiring, ground is going to be nice and easy because we can come up and ground it right to a battery. For the power, I went ahead and ordered a Viair pressure switch that's going to go into my tank over there. It is a 90 PSI cut in and 120 cut out. So perfect for truck systems. And then I ordered just a shit ton of fittings. Got the Tech-Tran book out and got everything I need to plumb to this feed hose out and around. I got all kinds of air brake tubing and miscellaneous fittings, but we're gonna take the port on the front of the tank. We're gonna put our pressure switch there. We're gonna put a secondary port out for a air chuck. I got some bulkhead fittings. We're going to integrate that into the truck bed so it's nice and sturdy where it comes out, but just going to have a chuck with a shutoff valve right there. So if somebody wants to hook an air hose up to it to, fill some tires or what have you. Obviously, it's a little baby compressor. It's not going to do that much, but I figure if I'm going to all this trouble, somebody might want that. So it's not that big of a deal to put a street elbow or street T in and make that connection. So anyway, we got all of our fittings to do that. We got our pressure switch that's going to control this. Then all we need is fused switched power coming from the truck. I also went ahead and got all of my battery cables ordered. So 16 feet of 2.0 cable to get up to our starter. And then we'll worry about the wiring to the body and all that stuff afterwards. But at any rate, we got our initial cables, and we still have to get that winch wired in once that's all on. But I think we got enough wire, we'll be able to reach that. So that's where we're going to stop for right now. All right, poof, here we are. It's a week later, and we have everything we need except for one fitting. There's one fitting I'm still waiting on, and that is a pressure relief valve, 150 PSI pressure relief valve. It's going to end up, I think, in one of those street tees. We'll wait on that. We can throw a plug in there for now, and if we want to pressurize everything and test it. But that being said, I'm going to get to work. I got everything labeled and prepped, and this is my kind of work right here. Little detail, neat and clean. I'm all about it. Okay, well, the air system is mostly plumbed. So you can see we've got a leveling valve. We're at full compression right now. Leveling valve, our pilot dump valve, everything's plumbed over to bags, and then that is plumbed up to a temporary location. What I decided to do, I made a hole for this in the side of the bed, and I just don't think it's going to survive there very well, so we're going to have a random hole to plug with something. But this, I ordered a weatherproof box, and I'm going to mount said weatherproof box to the frame in one way or another and put this inside of it. And so it's supposed to come tomorrow, actually. A little one-day shipping on it. So this is temporary, so it's just hanging. So anyway, that's plumbed. And then over here, it's a simple two-way outlet to some 1/4-inch lines. Let's go into the bags. There's our check valve on the inlet side. Everything's loomed down to the battery box. And I don't know if you can see this, but right there. So we've got an outlet for the blow-off valve that I don't have yet, or pressure relief valve. And then turned a little bit candid is the Viair solenoid valve. Is going to turn this compressor on and off. I think it's a 90-120, maybe an 80-120. Anyway, and then the last port there is our 1/2-inch feed out that we just talked about. So everything is loomed and plumbed. So what I'm gonna do now is get some alligator clips and I'll set you guys up, but we're gonna just run temporary power off of the compressor, and we'll see how this little system works. Make sure it kicks on and shuts off like it should. We got everything loomed inside the box there, as you can see. So let's fire it up.
Great success.
Okay, well, my little box came today, and didn't turn out too bad. I had a little chunk of this aluminum. I just cut it. That way I could do a 4-bolt flange, 4 bolts into the flange of the aluminum, and then I just use one of my frame bolts, and nice and protected. Little, just cheap Chinese, whatever, but it's got a little foam seal, so it's at least marginally weatherproof. Done. I also spent an inordinate amount of time on my fuel tank today. I went across the street to the old fuel tank, the big one that I got these frame brackets and tank straps off of, and I robbed the cap because I like this little sealed aluminum cap better. This is a gas engine tank, so I did pound out the filling that thing so we can actually get a diesel nozzle in there. And then I ordered a sending unit that will fit that flange. That's the correct 0 to 90 ohms for a Chevy fuel tank or fuel level gauge. And then I have to pick up some bushings. We're going to order a new vent. We're going to put a bushing out to a 1/2-inch vent and drop that down. That way we can use our little vent strap there. And then I'm going to use some aluminum plate I have, and I'm going to make my own, because these are some weird, this one I think I can find, but some weird Ford stuff, so we're not worrying about that.
Oh, that little guy. I wouldn't worry about that little guy.
I'm going to make my own aluminum plates, and then I just ordered some bulkhead fittings. That'll get us up to 1/2-inch female. We'll drill that aluminum, tighten down that bulkhead fitting, and then we've got a 1/2-inch fitting to go to JIC for a fuel feed line. And then over here, maybe I'll put them both right there, to be honest with you, and then just do a single, either way. And then we'll just do a sweat fitting and a piece of copper tube for pickup. Just keep it simple. Doesn't got to be anything crazy. And we'll clean out the tank, obviously, because there's kind of some gunk down in there. It's nice and clean. Well, clean as in no rust, but we'll drain that out. I can get my hand through this nice big hole. That's what's handy. I can get in there and clean it all, spray it down, wipe it down. So we'll get that all taken care of and then button that up. And I've also made my marks for my hose guy for my fuel lines. I've got to change that fitting out with where I put the motor. It does not fit. I can flex the fuel filter housing. I can clear it around the master cylinder, but this fitting isn't going to work. So somebody had a 45 on here. All this is a JIC to JIC swivel 45. We're going to change that out for a 90, and we'll be fine. Another one of those for my tank. All that is 1/2-inch pipe to JIC, and then got our 2 lines. I just cut these down. Simple. I can hand this to them and say, hey, this is what I need on each end. That's how long I need it. Done deal. So those are ready. So by next weekend, I will have everything for the fuel system. The air system is mostly done, except for that one part I'm missing. So we're sitting pretty good there. And now I'm on to, I was going to put brakes on today, and I realized I'm an idiot.
I mean, how did Leonardo DiCaprio figure out about gravity?
Because I have, $1,000 worth of brakes sitting here. We've got fresh rotors. We've got fresh calipers. We've got, no, it's not 1,000, but it's every bit of 700 or 800. Fresh pads, all the hardware kits, all the bleeders, all the shims, all the lines, everything new so that we could start working on brake lines. Well, someone's a dummy boo-boo, and we forgot the fact you know, that there's seals involved when you do brakes. So these brakes are actually, on these HDs, are really easy to do. There's no big deal. They're just a single piston, big old caliper. As you can see, you just pull the hub and drum off together, just like most dualies. Pull the hub and drum off together. You pound out the studs, the rotor separates, and you know, you're in business. So I'm gonna get everything disassembled, just so we know there's no more surprises, and then we'll try this again. Idiot. Okay, well, I decided I want to get as far as I could, so I disassembled. You can see we got the axles out. We got the hubs off, separated from the rotors. Old seals pulled. I'm not going to put the new rear rotors in just yet, only because it's a lot easier to get that seal in without the rotor on. So we'll hold on pressing those studs in. On the front, I fell into a rabbit hole again, as I usually do. Got everything apart. I actually have these ones bolt on the front. So I've got the new rotors bolted onto the front hubs, and I was cleaning everything up, and man, I wanted to get rid of the ABS sensor because we're not utilizing that. And the right way to do it is to pull the whole bracket off, which means you got to pull these main bolts off that bolt the, they hold the front steering arm on, but they also hold on the front caliper carrier. So that came off, and then I'm like, well, grease zerks look like crap. So anyway, grease zerks have all been changed. Got everything taken grease right. Kingpins are greased. And then I needle scaled. Obviously, you see the needle scaled, cleaned everything up. We're going to spray it down now. We'll reassemble everything we can. And then I got bearings are repacked. Outer bearing are sitting there waiting. And we're ready to reassemble once we have some seals. So anyway, if you're going to do it right. All right, guys. Well, we're going to jump out of order in this video because it is a beautiful friggin' day. It's not super warm. It's like 55, 57. But anyway, I'll take that in very early April in Michigan. It's a beautiful day, and you probably can't really see it, but there's a trailer behind me, and it has my flatbed for the old ramp truck on it. All blasted and painted and looking just gorgeous. Just friggin' gorgeous. So anyway, we're gonna get it home. We're gonna get it unloaded, and then it's gonna sit there. But I'll show it to you. We'll give you a little sneak peek of the old flatbed video. All right, guys, well, hopefully you can hear me over this wind, but let's check this thing out. I guess I'll bring you back as usual. So, as usual, my guys, my Blast and Paint company I use just did an awesome job. Beautiful. I mean, every nook and cranny, every weld, everything, to be honest with you, is just perfect. They really do an awesome job. And by the way, when I dropped it down on the sawhorses, I definitely meant to tip over the 6x6s. Completely on purpose. So anyway, we'll see how far these sawhorses sink into the ground. while this thing sits here, but it is going to sit here for a minute because we got to finish the truck. But regardless, they did a nice job. They pulled, I mean, they're so good. They pulled my pins. They blasted the pins, but they pulled them back off so they didn't get paint on them. These guys they're just solid. The only thing I found that was an error on my part is the ramp holds water, whether it's in the tipped up position or the tipped down position like this. So I do need to drill probably 4, actually probably 8, because of the support bars, 8 drain holes. So is what it is. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to drill those and then just touch up that paint right there, but whatever, it's life. We'll survive. But yeah, she turned out beautimous. So there's the flatbed, boys. Home and delivered and painted and ready to mount. All right, guys, well, it's another weekend. The fucking world's burning because morons are in charge, but I'm out here in the barn trying to make the best of it. And I got my seals, so let's put some brakes on. So you can see I've already actually installed them. I've got to drive those studs down through with the air hammer. So those are ready to go. And I've already installed the seals everywhere too. Seals are installed up front. We got the spindles greased. We are ready to do this. Let's get the hubs back on. Let's get some calipers and some pads on, some brake lines, and then we can measure for brake lines, and we're in business. Okay, well, just so I can piss off the super mechanics, when you put these studs in, and these HDs, like a lot of anything, this is after air hammered. They don't seat. They're lubed. Everything's been cleaned, literally wire wheeled. They don't seat. I've used these, I've done these with brand new studs, on brand new hubs, brand new rotor. It doesn't matter. They never seat with an air hammer. So we're doing the horrible way, I'm sure. So all I'm doing is I'm using the hub cover. The hub, these trucks use like a hub ring, basically. Kind of like a bud. You know what I mean? They use a conical nut, basically, on these P30 chassis. And, yeah, and we're just sending it. Oh, it was so horrible for it. So horrible. And on to the next. You gotta do 20 of these. We'll get her done. Yep, I know. Alright guys, so I've done the other side. I'm gonna give you a little insight into how I do these. So I have already seated my studs, placed the hub and the rotor onto the spindle, and it is time to install. So first order of business is the washer. I've cleaned all this already. Then we've got 2 matching thrust nuts. And yeah, I don't even have the tool that fits those tangs. I've done these 3500 HD, which is the same as a Chevy GMP 30 or a workhorse chassis of older vintage. I've done these countless times, and yep, I've never once used a torque wrench. This is what I use. So we'll just spin those on this inner nut. I do these honestly exactly like I do grease hubs, front axles on trucks like this or older 2-wheel drive trucks, and the same as I do trailer axles. So she's still spinning pretty good. We're getting close. All right, just keep on. Just preloading just a little bit. I am happy with that. That's where I want to be. Sometimes you got to tighten and then back off a little bit. Sometimes you don't. I do it 100% high feel. Oh yeah, perfect. Next, we just locate the tang on the lock washer into the axle stub. Then our secondary thrust washer goes on. Sometimes the secondary one is, for some reason, always harder to get started. I think just because that rock ring is in the way. There she goes. And then we're just going to do the same thing. That's getting pretty close. Now before we bend one of these over, oh, perfect. On the money, we're going to pop that in like that. Up. Let me show you. I'm assuming you can probably see that. There we go. Okay. Hubs are seated. Yeah, I'm sure that's the improper way to do it, guys. I have done countless 3500 HDs like this, probably 10 times. And when it comes to trailers and front ends on two-wheel drive GM trucks, good Lord, hundreds, maybe even when it comes to trailers, I mean, I do, yeah, 100. We'll stick with hundreds. We're not in the thousands territory, but I do 5 to 10 trailers a year, actually more than that. Oh, we do a lot of trailers, so I've never had a failure, guys. Common sense, torque it down, feel it, spin it. That's the old school way to do it. And I'm not saying it's wrong to use a torque wrench. I'm just saying I don't, and that's okay. So we're going to slide the axle half shaft in, feel it, oh, there we go, and we're going to line up those teeth, rotate the hub, there she is. Alright, so then click, 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 click. All right. So now we're gonna do brakes. Installing an anti-rattle clip. There. Don't have it seated all the way. Just need one on that inner. Then we're going to load the outer pad. There. Then it's as simple as take this little bracket, preload that thing like that. When everything's nice and new and not rusty like this, it's really easy. Sometimes you get give her a little love tap to get her started. There we go. So you just love tap the bracket in with the spring clip. Then there we go. All right, so there you have it. There's the rear end Really looking like something. We are all assembled on the brakes. I gotta finish the front now. Front's just pretty much a mirror image on these P30 chassis trucks, 3500 HD trucks, workhorse chassis, whatever. We gotta square up our brake dust shield, but the brakes are literally identical. It's the same part numbers on the calipers and the pads, front to rear. The rotors are the same diameter. They are slightly different in the hub style, the way the hub bolts. But otherwise, literally, everything is identical, which is kind of handy, kind of nice. So I'm going to get after that. This one I've already got torqued and done. I just got to finish pushing through that cotter pin and put on our dust cap. But I'm going to get the fronts done off camera, and then we are complete with our brakes. All right, guys. Well, once the brakes got done, I jumped ahead without you because sometimes you just got to do that. It's too hard to film all this, and it's boring, and this video's getting long. So once I knew where those lines were going to terminate, but I just wanted to be sure. So I ordered some clips because those were long gone. So those are ordered, coming here in a couple days. And then I installed the master cylinder. So yeah, we've got the Hydro Boost unit and the master cylinder all on, bolted in. And I wanted to bleed it because there's still fluid in it. That's awesome. And so I measured for brake lines. We are completely eliminating the ABS system. We're not putting the ABS computer back in. This truck, having been a 95, was that weird line of front ABS only. There was also a section of Chevy trucks back in the old days that were rear ABS only. Kind of weird. Anyway, we're getting rid of that. This is just going to be a truck, non-ABS. So we're plumbing directly from the master cylinder out to the brakes. So measured for our lines, got that all listed up. Also put in the steering column, the real steering column, the proper 88 to 94 steering column. So, and we are hooked up. Boring, didn't film it at all, but I also put on the Pitman arm, the new Pitman arm. So steering column's completely bolted in. And I did those sweet little door panels. I picked a set of those up used a while back, so wired those in and clipped them in and everything. I haven't tested them yet because I have a battery hooked up, but that's nice to have that finished off. Little odds and ends. So that's the front end. And then I've been messing with this tank. So I got it clean. That's a big step. It had a bunch of water in it because I didn't cover it very well, and condensation and whatnot, but here. You can see I have wiped it out and cleaned it, and we are clean as a whistle in there, so I can put that drain plug back in. The other thing I did was ordered this generic 0 to 90 ohm sending unit, which is what I need to work with the GM gauge. And I hate these stupid fuel tank flanges. No one ever uses the same ones. Everything's fucking different. Of course, it's a 5-bolt flange. It was in this tank, but it didn't fit the standard 5-bolt flange. So what we did was, of course they're slightly different, so I got to figure out where I drilled it. Anyway, all these 5-bolt flanges are not the same. There. That's the one we used, I think. So anyway, drilled new holes and tapped them for 1/4-20s, just like the rest of this is. So that's ready to put. Now I can put the sending unit in right now, and then I can mark my aluminum to make my cover/adapter plates for a suction line and a return line. And got the bushings for the other one, and that means we can fabricate all that up and be ready to I'll get some paint, we'll get some chassis saver for those fuel tank hangers, and then we'll clean this thing up and scuff it and shoot a coat of single stage on it, and be done with the tank. And we'll have brake lines next week, so we can run all of our lines. I did make some brackets, or paint some brackets for, this is the old original factory bracket for the for the center T at the back axle, and that's a bracket I made to accept the GM style clips and put it where I want it, so that because we have a lot more travel with this air ride than we did with springs. So that bracket's going to come off of here, and then the factory type bracket's going to come off of here, and so it's just a short little distance, and it'll be about level, so that that rubber line can flex when our axle drops. So we're moving right along. We got our sending unit in, cut down to size, working perfect. I know you can't see that, but she's done. So it's bolted in. We bushed up. I know that's not pretty, but it's what we're doing. So we bushed up to a 1/2-inch vent, and the tube will be able to tuck right in right there. It is what it is. And then, so now we got to make some plates. And taking this little piece of aluminum, and you can see that I've just, I don't have the right tools. I don't have a friggin' protractor out here. This is what we got. So I have measured, it's a 7-inch diameter, so I've measured 3.5 on each side all the way around. Just put a marker to it, and we are gonna we're gonna cut this out manually style, and then I'll widen out that center hole, put a bulkhead fitting on there. You can hate me for that, but it's gonna work. That's what matters. Bulkhead fitting, and then here's our pickup tube, because I wasn't gonna pay friggin' like 50 or 60 bucks. We got to sweat that fitting, but yeah, it's just a regular old, we got a 3/4 by 1/2, and there's our pickup tube. A little copper, done deal. We'll cut it to length so it's just off the bottom of the tank, and it's gonna work. And then we'll do a smaller version for, we're gonna do the same exact thing with the bulkhead fitting, and that's just gonna have a 1/2-inch 90 in it to flare, and that will be, you know, I don't know which one's going to go where, to be honest with you, but regardless, one will be the drain and one will be the pickup. So I'm going to do that and then bring it back, because it's kind of boring. All right, well, we're making progress. I can't touch that because it's hot, because I just soldered it. No, I'm not a fucking plumber. No comments. But yeah, that's our pickup tube. It's gonna work just fine. I'm gonna clean up that ceiling face. All we're doing is making our TV. Good deal. Oh, there we go. That's my version of fabricobbling. By the way, when I cut these, I marked this one, and I just used a 4.5-inch cutoff wheel around and around and around and around to get us a circle. I made it a little small, but it worked just fine. And this one I just used a hole saw, and it's a 4-inch hole saw, and I used the plug. So I think that's gonna work out real nice. We got us a tank that's functional and sealed. That's also key. So ready to mask off and paint, put some lines on. Good to go. Getting fresh 90s for those, and like I say, the lines are measured and in process of being made, so we're in business. We're ready to put diesel in that thing almost. Love it. Love it. Well, boys, I think that's about gonna wrap it. I'm dirty, I'm tired, and the rest of what we're gonna work on in the next few weeks is gonna be another video. So as always, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the progress on the 3500 HD, and we're getting there, inching our way. Y'all take care.